The old house stood at the very end of Shadow Lane. Everyone in town said it was haunted. They told stories about it. Spooky stories. They said lights flickered in the empty windows late at night. They said strange noises came from inside its dark, rotting walls. The moon was a pale, thin sliver in the sky tonight, barely strong enough to cast long, creepy shadows across the overgrown yard. A cold wind whispered through the dead leaves scattered on the ground. It sounded like it was telling secrets. Terrible secrets. The kind of secrets that make your skin crawl and your heart beat like a drum. My name is Leo, and I was dared to spend the night here. My friends, Alex and Mia, had called me a chicken, a big yellow chicken. So here I was, standing on the creaky wooden porch. The front door was slightly ajar, like it was waiting for me, inviting me in. I pushed it open, and the sound it made was like a long, low groan, a groan of pain. Inside, it was even darker than outside. The air was thick and smelled like dust and something else. Something sweet and sickly, like old flowers left to die. I took a deep breath and stepped over the threshold. The door slammed shut behind me. Click. I was trapped. I fumbled in my pocket for my flashlight. My fingers were shaking so much it was hard to grip it. I finally switched it on, and a weak yellow beam cut through the darkness. The light danced over old furniture covered in white sheets. They looked like ghosts sitting silently in the room, watching me. Dust motes swirled in the beam of light like tiny, frantic insects. I pointed the light at the far wall. A huge, dark stain spread across the wallpaper. It looked a little like a screaming face. I told myself it was just water damage. It had to be. But I couldn't shake the feeling that I was not alone. Every step I took made the floorboards cry out. Creak, groan, squeak. It was a symphony of spooky sounds. I decided to explore the living room first. A giant fireplace stood against one wall, its opening like a gaping black mouth. Above it, on the mantelpiece, was a single, dusty photograph in a silver frame. I picked it up and wiped the dust away with my sleeve. It was a picture of a family, a mother, a father, and a little girl with dark, serious eyes. The girl wasn't smiling. She was staring right at the camera, staring right at me. Her eyes seemed to follow me as I moved the flashlight. A chill ran down my spine, a very, very cold chill. I put the photograph back down, making sure the little girl couldn't see me anymore. My heart was thumping against my ribs. Thump, 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 louder and louder. I decided I needed to be brave. I was not a chicken. I was Leo, the brave explorer. I walked out of the living room and into a long, dark hallway. There were several doors on either side, all of them closed tight. Which one should I open first? It was like a scary game show, and every door held a terrible prize. The air in the hallway felt colder, and the silence was heavy, pressing in on me from all sides. That's when I first heard it. A sound. It was very faint. At first I thought it was just the wind outside, but it wasn't. It was a soft scratching noise. Scratch, scratch, scratch. It was coming from inside the walls. It sounded like long fingernails dragging slowly down a wooden board. The sound moved. It started at one end of the hallway and slowly made its way toward me. Scratch, 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 closer and closer. I froze, holding my breath. My flashlight beam trembled, making the shadows on the wall jump and dance like wicked goblins. The scratching stopped right next to me, just on the other side of the wall. I stood there for what felt like an hour, too scared to move, too scared to even breathe. Then a new sound started, a whisper. It was a girl's voice, soft and breathy. It was so quiet I could barely make out the words. It sounded like she was right beside my ear. "Get out," she whispered. I yelped and jumped back, spinning around and shining my flashlight everywhere, but there was nothing there. Just the empty, dark hallway. The voice had been so clear, so close. Was I imagining it? Was my mind playing tricks on me? The house was messing with me. It wanted me to be scared. I tried to laugh it off. "Nice try, spooky house," I said out loud. My voice sounded small and shaky. But then the whisper came again, this time from the end of the hall. Warning! You!" it hissed. The scratching started again, but this time it was louder, faster, frantic. It was coming from behind one of the closed doors, the door at the very end of the hall, the one painted a dark, blood red. The doorknob began to rattle. Slowly at first, then faster and more violently, as if someone or something was desperately trying to get out. I knew I should run, but my feet felt like they were glued to the floor. My curiosity got the better of my fear. It was a terrible mistake, a really, really big mistake. I had to know what was behind the red door. Slowly, I tiptoed down the hallway, my flashlight beam shaking wildly. The rattling had stopped, the scratching had stopped. Now, there was only silence again, a waiting kind of silence. I reached the red door and put my hand on the cold brass knob. It was freezing cold, like a piece of ice. I took a deep breath, turned the knob, and pushed the door open. It swung inward with a loud, long creak that echoed down the hall. The room was a child's bedroom, a little girl's bedroom. There was a small bed in the corner with a tattered teddy bear sitting on the pillow. A dusty dollhouse sat against the wall, its tiny furniture all knocked over. And in the center of the room, facing away from me, was a large, ornate wardrobe with a full-length mirror on its door. The mirror was cloudy with age and grime, but I could still see my reflection. I looked pale and scared. I saw the hallway behind me, dark and empty. I took a step into the room. The air was heavy and smelled of lavender and decay. I walked toward the wardrobe, my reflection walking toward me in the mirror. I wanted to see if the scratching had left any marks on the inside of the door. I was only a few feet away when I noticed something was wrong. Very wrong. In the mirror, my reflection had stopped walking, but I hadn't. I took another step forward, but my reflection stayed perfectly still, staring at me. Its eyes were wide. Its mouth was open in a silent scream. I froze. My heart felt like it had stopped beating altogether. This wasn't possible. It couldn't be real. Then something else appeared in the mirror, something that wasn't in the room with me. A figure was standing behind my reflection, a small figure. It was the little girl from the photograph. Her dress was torn and dirty. Her face was pale and smudged with dirt. And her eyes were just black pits, empty, dark holes. She slowly raised a hand in the mirror and waved at me, a slow, creepy wave. Then she smiled. It was not a friendly smile. It was a wide, jagged smile that stretched too far across her face, full of teeth that were too sharp. I stumbled backward, tripping over my own feet and landing hard on the floor. I scrambled backward on my hands and knees, trying to get away from the mirror. I couldn't take my eyes off the girl, the terrifying girl in the reflection. She was still smiling that horrible, wide smile. I turned my head to look over my shoulder to make sure nothing was really behind me. The room was empty. There was no girl. There was only me and the dusty old furniture. I let out a shaky breath of relief. It was a trick, just a reflection, a scary illusion caused by the old, warped glass and the flickering light. My mind was playing tricks on me again. I got back to my feet, my legs feeling like jelly. I decided I had seen enough. This dare was over. Alex and Mia could call me a chicken all they wanted. I didn't care. I just wanted to get out of this horrible, creepy house. I turned my back on the wardrobe and the mirror. I ran out of the bedroom, not even bothering to close the red door behind me. I sprinted down the long, dark hallway, my footsteps echoing loudly. I didn't hear any more scratching. I didn't hear any more whispers. There was only the sound of my own frantic breathing and my pounding heart. I reached the front door and fumbled with the knob. It wouldn't turn. It was locked. I pulled and twisted and banged on the door, but it was no use. I was locked in. A wave of pure panic washed over me. I spun around, shining my flashlight back down the hallway I had just run from. The red door at the end of the hall was slowly creaking shut. And for just a second, in the sliver of light before it closed completely, I saw two small black eyes peering out at me. Then, the door clicked shut, and the hallway was plunged back into darkness. A soft giggle echoed from the top of the stairs. A little girl's giggle. It sounded playful, but it was the most terrifying sound I had ever heard. I felt a cold breath on the back of my neck. It felt like someone was standing right behind me. So close I could feel their presence. I was too scared to turn around, too scared to see what was there. A soft, cold whisper tickled my ear, the same voice from the walls. But this time it wasn't a warning. This time it said, "Tag, you're it."